The recent strike on Kyiv by a Russian force is widely interpreted by geopolitical analysts not merely as a localized military action, but as a profound and deliberate warning from Moscow, directed at Europe and the broader Western alliance. This interpretation gained significant traction when viewed against the backdrop of an unprecedented meeting involving Russian President Vladimir Putin, Chinese President Xi Jinping, and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. This tripartite summit is seen by many as a critical juncture, potentially signaling a fundamental reordering of global power dynamics and a collective challenge to Western hegemony. The Kyiv strikes therefore serve as a stark reminder of Russia's capabilities and its willingness to use them to assert its strategic interests, particularly as it perceives increasing Western intervention in the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. The message is aimed squarely at deterring further escalations of support for Kyiv from European nations, indicating that Russia is prepared to intensify its action if its red lines are crossed. This assertive posture underscores a growing confidence within Moscow, bolstered by what it perceives as shifting global alliance. The convergence of Putin, Xi, and Modi represents a powerful bloc of nations, each with significant geopolitical weight and a shared interest in fostering a multipolar world order. For Russia, this meeting reinforced its position against what it often labels as Western unilateralism. For China, it strengthened its strategic partnership with Russia while projecting its influence across Eurasia and beyond, aligning with its Belt and Road Initiative and broader geopolitical ambition. India, navigating its complex relationship with both the West and these emerging powers, used such platform to assert its strategic autonomy and enhance its role as a key player in global affairs. The discussions at these summits are believed to have centered on economic cooperation, security architectures, and a coordinated approach to international diplomacy, all aimed at diminishing the influence of the United States and its allies. The implications for the West are substantial, suggesting that the era of uncontested Western dominance may be drawing to a close, and new geopolitical realities are rapidly taking shape. The meeting is therefore a final blow in the sense that it solidifies an alternative vision for global governance and power distribution, challenging the established norms and institutions that have largely been shaped by Western powers since the end of the Cold War. Russia's confidence in dictating peace terms for Ukraine is significantly bolstered by this perceived shift in global alliance. Moscow believes that with the support or at least the tacit understanding of powers like China and India, the West's ability to isolate Russia and impose its will becomes considerably diminished. This newfound leverage allows Russia to envision a scenario where it can largely dictate the terms of any future peace settlement in Ukraine, rather than being forced to negotiate from a position of weakness. These terms would likely include significant territorial concessions, guarantees of Ukraine's neutrality, and a reconstructing of regional security architectures to Russia's advantage. The West's capacity to counter such demands would depend heavily on its unity and resolve, both of which are being tested by internal divisions and varying strategic priorities among European nations and the United States. President Donald Trump's administration, with its America First foreign policy, has often signaled a more transactional approach to international relations, which could further complicate a unified Western response. The messaging from Moscow emphasized that the West's continued provision of advanced weaponry and financial aid to Ukraine is not altering Russia's strategic objectives, but rather prolonging the conflict and increasing the risk of wider escalation. The Kyiv strikes serve as a visceral illustration of this warning, demonstrating that no part of Ukraine is truly safe from Russian retaliatory actions, regardless of Western defensive assistance. This strategy aims to sow discord within the Western alliance, hoping to foster a sense of wariness and convince European capitals that further engagement with the conflict carries unacceptable risk. The ultimate goal is to compel Europe to reconsider its unwavering support for Ukraine and push for a negotiated settlement on terms more favorable to Russia. The alignment with China and India provides a strong economic and political bulwark against potential Western sanctions or diplomatic pressure, offering Russia alternative markets and political backing that lessen its vulnerability to Western punitive measures. The historical context of previous warning from Moscow further illuminates the significance of the Kyiv strike. Throughout the conflict, Russia has often used targeted military actions, energy leverage, and diplomatic rhetoric to signal its intentions and boundaries to the West. However, this latest strikes, coinciding with a high-profile summit of major non-Western powers, elevates the message to a new level. It suggests a more coordinated and confident challenge to the existing world order, moving beyond mere regional assertiveness to a broader geopolitical realignment. The economic implications for Europe are also profound, as continued tensions with Russia disrupt energy markets and trade routes, adding further strain to European economies already grappling with inflation and supply chain issues. The long-term impact of a fractured global system with competing blocs and diminished international cooperation could lead to prolonged instability and increased regional conflicts, underscoring the gravity of the current geopolitical shift. The meeting between Putin, Xi, and Modi in the context of the Kyiv strikes represents more than just a diplomatic gathering. It symbolizes a growing consensus among these powerful nations that the global order needs rebalancing. They advocate for a system where power is distributed among multiple poles rather than concentrated in a single hegemonic power or bloc. This vision includes a greater role for institutions like BRICS and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization (SCO), which offers alternative to Western-dominated bodies such as the G7 and NATO. For Russia, the strategic depth is crucial as it continues its military campaign in Ukraine. The diplomatic and economic support from China and India provides it with a buffer against Western pressure, allowing it to sustain its operations and consolidate its gain. The narrative emanating from these alliances is one of resisting external interference in their internal affairs and promoting a more equitable, diverse international system. The West's response to this evolving scenario is critical. A fragmented or hesitant reaction could further embolden Moscow and its allies, cementing their perceptions that Western influence is on the decline. A unified and resolute stance, on the other hand, could still challenge these emerging dynamics. However, achieving such unity remains a significant hurdle, given the diverse national interests and political landscapes within Europe and across the transatlantic alliance. The United States, under President Trump, faces the challenge of reconciling its national interests with the need for strong alliance in a rapidly changing world. The ability of the West to adapt its strategies, rebuild trust, and formulate a coherent long-term approach to this new geopolitical reality will determine its future standing in a world increasingly shaped by these powerful non-Western alignment. The Kyiv strikes and the concurrent summit underscores that the world is indeed at a geopolitical crossroads, with a potential for fundamental shift in power and influence that will resonate for decades to come. That's all for me for today. If you like the video presentation and you would like to follow for more, hit that subscribe and like button now, and we will continue to build this show for you. Thank you to all of you guys who have subscribed. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much. I will see you soon. Bye for now.